Hello everyone, it's been a long time since I did a new video on a helicopter. This is timely because this model has been in the market for some time now by RCERA, and inevitably I'm sure people have crashed and need repairs. So in this video what I'd like to do is open this up and show you how to replace the main gear and maybe even the main shaft, because I had a pretty bad crash. It was a dumb thumb, but it happens. And although the body didn't get damaged except for this part falling off, there is a problem with the gear. And I'll fly it right now without the repair and you'll see the problem. Okay, so we're gonna bind it and we're gonna take off and you'll see why. You hear that? Very erratic, lots of vibrations to the point that it's not staying stable. And you can hear the gear. So let's land. Let's land it and see if we can fix this. And also the vibrations caused by the gear problem affect the gyro. Okay, first things first, we're going to remove the blades and the skid, and then we're going to open the body up. First I'll take out the battery, set that aside, take off the, note where this is going in. This is the light, comes off the board, set that aside, and then I'm going to proceed by taking off all the blades. Notice, make sure they're not too tight when you put them back together. We'll go through that later, but they shouldn't be tight. If you have a lot of vibrations, that could be one of the reasons why. Let's take these off all. Okay, so the blades are off. We're gonna continue and take off the skids. There's screws here that come off. 4 screws. This is the optical flow sensor right there. Make sure you see my other videos when this first came out. I think I have other detailed videos on this, but this is a very nice model. I personally really like it. It's C190. I'll take the skid off now. All right, so the skid came off from here. There are 4 self-tapping Phillips head screws that come off. Set that aside. Next we're going to open up these screws on the fuse. They're both on both sides. It has screws. So these screws are holding the internal frame. A lot of times you're able to get away with it by opening one side. So we'll check to see if, we'll start with this side because it seems to have more screws. I'm very happy to report that all these screws are the same size and they are the same. So you don't have to worry about different size screws here. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 screws on the right side. So now we took one side off. Now we're gonna try to open it up like a sandwich, like a butterfly. Open. So there's an upper side. You see that? I'm gonna open that somehow. That needs to come off. So I think that slides off. So here's the secret. This won't come apart unless you take this connection off. So there are clips that go inside, and this part comes right off. You gotta fight it a little, but be careful not to break it. It's kind of like snaps in place. This comes off. Okay, this seems to be a tougher nut to crack than I thought. You have to open all the screws because this screw is holding the whole thing together. Okay, and as far as this guy is concerned, you need to gently use a flathead screwdriver and pry these snap-ons off of the fuse. The front one is a little tough, but I'm trying to kind of set it loose without damaging the outside part of the helicopter. It should come out. Be patient and it will come out. Okay, so I took all the screws out. There's one screw that is shorter than the rest, and that's this one. It's because it doesn't have enough length, so be careful. There's only one screw the rest of them are all the same size. So I decided not to force this guy and just release it on one side so I can open the fuse. It's coming apart. I must say, this, of all the RCRA helicopters, this has been the most difficult to open, but not something that's not doable. It is doable. Just too many. There you go. You have to make sure these are the landing gear spots. They get caught in that hole. So make sure that you lift it a little bit and then pull it apart. So hopefully I've taken all the screws out so it opens up. I don't want to force this too much. It's a struggle. We'll get it. So, just like this surprise here for the snap-on, there's two more snap-ons here. This is a snap-on, and so is this side. So there's another screw in there that needs to come out. But we first have to take this, see that? That came off. There, you see? This is another snap-on part for the fuselage. And then there's a screw here. That's why I was struggling to open it. Don't press it, don't pull it too hard. Make sure that you understand why it's not coming apart. Here, same size screw. Because otherwise, here, see now it's all coming apart very nicely. I must say, not sure why RCRA made this one so hard, but that's why we're here to do a video. And if you see it, now you see the inside, you understand what's going on. So first of all, these are the LED lights. This is the snap-on I'm talking about. See, it snaps on onto the fuse. So I can now easily take it out from this side. Just push it with my finger and take it out. It doesn't like to come out. We just don't want to break it, that's all. Maybe I'll leave it for now. But that, you see the snap? You see that snap? Anyways, put that aside. Our main task here is to replace the gear, but let me tell you what's inside here while we're here, okay? Just like all the other helicopters we've opened up, if you've seen the videos, here's the frame. Okay, sits inside. This is the gyro. This is the ESC, the motor. These are the servos, 1, 2, and 3. Elevator, aileron, and pitch, or pitch and aileron. This is your optical flow sensor. All connects into your board. This is your gyro board. Really nice. And here's your battery input. So we need to take this guy out and replace it because it's damaged. You can actually see the damage. You can see the damage right here. You see that right there. Right there. And it makes a clicking noise. I can feel it, but it amplifies in the fuse, this sound. So while here, we're going to also inspect to make sure the shaft is not bent. I didn't see any issues with the shaft, but if it is bent, this is when you want to replace it. Okay, to access the gear, we need to open up 4 screws. There's 1, 2, 3, and 4 here. This plate, battery plate, comes off, and then we get access to the gear. I'll open the screws now. So after I open the screws, this just comes right off. Okay, and you have open access to your gear. Now, if you want to zoom in a little bit to the gear, you can see the motor turning it. And then there's a part that should be damaged. I think it's coming. There, that's the damaged part. And you see it's just minor, but this minor thing is enough to make that noise when you're flying and create vibrations. So in order to take this gear out, you have to open this screw and then pry it out. Okay, so this screw, and let's see what kind of screw that is. It's a, I think it's a 1.5 millimeter. No, it's not. It's smaller. All right, let me get a smaller. I'll see what size it is. Okay, it's not 1.5, it's 1.3. At least 1.3 for me is working. So we're gonna take this out. And it's not a Phillips head. It's a hex head. Longer hex head screw comes off carefully. Be careful with the screws not going into your motor. The motor has magnets, and these small screws can easily find their way in there, and that's a real pain to fix if that happens. Taking this, oops. Yep, here it is. You'll see this hex head 1.3. Put that here. All right, so now you should be able to use a flathead screwdriver and pry that out because it has a key. So we're going to pry this out gently. Comes right out. See? Right out. And you can see the key. You take the new this is the same size. Got to verify it's the same size. And install the new one. I'll go and check to see why this is looking different. I bought it for this helicopter, but got to make sure it's the same. Okay, I verified this and I slipped it back on, and even though it looks a little different, it fits. I bought this under the same, for the same spare part for this helicopter, and it's a little different, but we'll see if it works. I'm sure it should be okay. I'll put that Jesus bolt back in. Tiny. Okay. Screw it back. Don't make it too tight, because this is relying on the turning forces. Okay, then we put this guy back up, back in there. It's 4 screws. Just fits right here. They're guides for the rear portion. As you can tell, you can guides right in. Okay, and then the front has guides as well. And you put the 4 screws back in. Okay, the 4 screws are back in, the gear is in. There's no movement. Make sure it's not going up and down. You don't want the shaft to go up and down, so that screw, if it fits right, it goes right in there and there won't be much movement up and down on the shaft. So we'll go ahead and gently place this back in. There are groove holes for the frame. The holes are where your skid goes in, goes there, and then this guy is your goes right here, slides right in here. Okay, it should be on this side. And the way I like to do this, I like to screw it up on one side, put the screws on so it doesn't move around, and then we could work on the rest of it. So I'm going to start putting a couple of screws on this side to help me hold the frame. Oh God, come on. Okay, got one. And the second one is right here to keep the frame. Okay, these 2 should be enough to keep it in place while we do the rest, other side. So the frame is in place. Make sure the wires are not catching and that they're not being jammed like here. Well, they do have guides, so they're already on zip ties on that other side. But anyways, make sure that the wires don't get caught up. Okay, next we place the optical flow sensor again. You can put a dab of hot glue in there if you want. And then we put the sandwich back together. And the best way to do that is start on one place. And this is the guy that was a pain. I really want to take this off, but I don't want to break it. It's stuck in the front. Some of them have tolerance issues, and maybe this one was one that had a little bit too much plastic on. I hope this is helpful, because I know that we all crash once in a while, and it's good to be able to fix these things instead of buying a new one. I'm sure they'd love for you to buy a new one, but sometimes it's not necessary. All right, so you the key is to make sure you get the bottom holes in place for the skid. start with the bottom and make sure it slides together nicely. Be patient. This is not, you can't brute force this. Okay, I gotta tell you, this took a while. So you guys need to be very patient. And the issue I had was sliding back the optical flow sensor and this big groove that had to fit into the slot. Okay, so make sure you take your time and align the optical flow sensor chip with your finger. You can hold it and stick it into the groove that it's supposed to go in. Otherwise, it's going to be very difficult. And then once these line up and they pop back in, everything else suddenly magically pops back in. So I'm going to now put the screws back, making sure that there are no pinched wires anywhere. And remembering that this screw was the smaller one and the rest are all the same size. So two things that I'd like to note. In order to open this fuse, you have to pry open these covers, okay? There's one here, there's a screw in there, and there's this one, obviously. You don't have to take the whole thing off, at least just take one side off. It'll pop back down, okay? There's no screws here, but there's one screw here that if you don't pop this open on the right side, that it will, you're gonna break it. It's not gonna really open up nicely. Okay, I'm just putting the screws back in. I don't wanna waste too much of your time looking at me putting the screws in, but just showing you that they're all the same sizes, and make sure they go in the groove. And don't only hand tight. You don't need to make it too tight. Okay, you might strip it. Okay, all the screws for the fuse are back together. Now I left this. I also put that screw on, but I want to show you how I'm going to put this back in. Okay, so this is a snap-on. So we're going to have to put this front first and then push it down. It should snap right on. Squeeze it a little. Yeah. Maybe put the top on first. And then it snap in. I am not a fan of this RCRA. This is too difficult for maintenance. You guys need to do a little better. Okay, so it's in. Okay. We'll do the same thing on the front here. This also has to snap back in. There you go. Snap this back in too on the side. There. Okay. So these were the tricks. I think this here, this plate, which is not really noticeable unless, and there's no diagrams to take it apart. I'll check in the manual, but I don't recall seeing that. And this. So now I lost this guy in the crash, and I'm not sure if it's worth buying a whole fuse for this, or I can make one. Probably easily make something similar. Okay, I'll put the skid back on and the blades, and then we'll test it, see if it fixed the issue. Okay, one thing about the blades, I always say this, when you put them back on, they should be at the direction of the linkage. Okay, so the leading edge is at the direction of the linkage connecting to the swash plate. And when you put it on, you don't want this to be tight. You want it to be loose enough that when you shake it, it moves. And otherwise, when you hold the helicopter straight, it shouldn't move. Okay, we'll put one on now and see I'll show you what I mean. This is one of the biggest issues when it comes to vibrations and these helicopters not flying right. is because the blades might be too tight and not finding their center. So this is this is okay. See, it's not tight and it's not loose. It stays on its own. I'm going to go ahead and put the rest of them on. Okay, we put everything back together. Put this light back in, make sure that it's in the right, check the red is on the right and the black is on the left. Put the battery back in. Make sure it's sliding in because you have your optical flow sensor there. Make sure it's free. Okay, turn it back on. Okay, looks like we have all the lights in place. They all work. Okay, so now, okay, I'm gonna bind it. And we're gonna go fly it now. Let's see if it's fixed. Smooth so far. There you go, very smooth. I'll land it. And I have to do the tuning. That's a different topic, but this thing, the gear noise is gone. So the tuning is basically, as you know, you go here, so it's in a tuning mode. Take off. I'll make sure I got bringing her back here. I'm trying to tune the swash plate. Okay, it's almost there. Gotta be patient. See, now it's a little bit more. Woo! Okay, hold on. A little bit further back. Okay, I think this is good. We're gonna land, accept it, and then we're gonna land. Okay, I can still do more tuning, but this was just how showing you after you do a repair, you could sometimes have to do the tuning for the swash plate with that method. You hold this down, it beeps. You hold it for about 5 seconds, and then this light beeps. It's in tuning mode. Then you go in and you do your trim on the swash plate as you hover. Once it's good, you press it down again, it accepts it. Okay, to summarize this repair, we went ahead and replaced a damaged gear, which the sound resonated through the fuse and it was making a pop, 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 pop noise. That's fixed. In doing that, we also tuned the swash plate again. We trimmed it for level hover as much as we could indoors. Some of the things we found out here is that you will need a 1.3 millimeter hex to take off the screw, the Jesus bolt that goes through the gear into the shaft, okay? The next thing we found out is that there's a plate here that's covering the snap-on plate that needs to come off. And there are 2 more plates on the exhaust side here on the right and left. However, if you open the right one, there's a screw that goes in that needs to come off, just the right one. So these are removable covers that are snapped on. Take your time in putting them back in. Also, what I noticed is when you put it back in, make sure the optical flow sensor inside clears the battery, okay? Otherwise, you might jam the sensor in there. And the sensor needs to be put in fairly straight, okay? Otherwise, a helicopter is not going to be flying right because it's going to be thinking that it's always sideways. Anyways, this concludes this quick video. Hope you liked it. I'm going to try to do more videos like this on different models. Over and out.